The bell has rung, class is starting. Today I am going to explain cortisol with all its scientific and biological reality. The hidden challenge that hides behind even the most accurate diets and disciplined exercise programs, quietly affecting your weight loss process, even when you do everything right. Cortisol is not actually an enemy to our bodies. It belongs to the glucocorticoid family and is a cholesterol derivative with a steroid hormone structure. This hormone is located right above your kidneys. It is positioned like a tiny pyramid, and we call these the adrenal glands. It is secreted from the cortex or the outer layer. It manages everything from our body's circadian rhythm to blood pressure and immunity. Although we all know it as the stress hormone, our cortisol level is actually our natural and biological battery that peaks every morning to prepare us for the day. The reason we know it as the stress hormone is that the endless reflections of the modern world, traffic, the rush to keep up, insomnia, and stress, play a role in damaging and disrupting this sensitive command chain. To explain in more detail, our body secretes cortisol through what we call the HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which begins with the hypothalamus in our brain sounding the alarm. When the hypothalamus perceives a threat, it sends a signal to the pituitary gland, which then uses a messenger called ACH to send the fight or flight command to the adrenal glands. In any event you experience during the day, for example, a setback at work, the body increases its stress level and turns on the fight or flight mode. Furthermore, the body cannot distinguish between a tension at work and a real lion attack at a cellular level. This tells us that the stress experienced during the day activates the body as if a lion were attacking us. In my previous video, we talked about glucose and sugar. This is exactly where the biochemical process of glucose and cortisol in the body comes into play. Cortisol is the invisible sugar factory in our bodies. So, how does this sugar factory start working without us consuming any food? That is the secret of cortisol. Under stress, the body thinks it needs urgent energy to escape the perceived danger, and switches to glucose production. In other words, the process of gluconeogenesis begins. In this process, even if you don't consume a single bite of food, your body can break down even the amino acids in your muscles to turn them into sugar in order to provide the energy needed for you to escape. This transfers the glycogen stored in your liver and the newly produced sugar into the bloodstream. Interestingly, even if you eat nothing, your blood sugar rises suddenly as if you had eaten a slice of syrupy dessert, and insulin, the body's key, appears in a panic to clear this false energy burst. But because stress is still present in the body, the cells do not burn this energy because they want you to survive, and it is taken by insulin to be stored. As a result, under chronic stress, it is biologically possible to gain fat just by breathing, even if you do nothing else. If you ask where this fat is collected, the answer is the abdominal area. You may have heard of the chronic stress belly. It is very similar to a beer belly. That is exactly what it is. If you wonder why it collects here, the visceral fat cells located in the abdominal area that surround the organs have exactly 4 times more cortisol receptors than other parts of the body. And here an enzyme we call beta-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase type 1 takes over. This enzyme converts passive cortisol circulating in the blood back into its active form, making fat storage in that area permanent. That stubborn belly fat you say never goes away is actually a biological protective shield your body has prepared for your organs, thinking you are in a period of war or famine, and trying to protect you. To minimize these situations, getting sunlight for the first 15 minutes when you wake up in the morning, taking certain vitamin supplements under a doctor's supervision, doing breathing exercises, and reducing the blue light we are exposed to heavily during the day will help. Contrary to popular belief, losing weight is not just a mathematical calculation. It is not quite possible to manage this process simply by counting calories. Weight loss is a process that progresses by establishing a biological, hormonal, and nervous system balance. It is time to throw off the pressure of, I'm doing it, but why isn't it happening? It is time to learn why hormones behave this way, what my body wants, and how my body's biology works. And by being here, you are already taking these steps beautifully. It is difficult to cope with cortisol only with your willpower, but you can rein it in by learning and managing your biology. When you learn this, your control over eating impulses will never be the same again. Now, I'm coming to today's homework. This week, at the moment you feel most stressed, take just 2 minutes to apply the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, Hold for 7 seconds, exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds. To try and manage the war happening in the HPA axis, and observe the effect of this small biological intervention on your appetite at the end of the day. I will be eagerly waiting for the results in the comments.